Ever heard the term current account balance and wondered what it actually means? It sounds pretty technical, doesn't it? But believe it or not, it's a key indicator of a country's economic health, and it impacts all of us. Today, we're going to break down exactly what the current account balance is, why it's relevant, especially here in the US, and how it all works. So what is the current account balance? Simply put, it's a record of a country's transactions with the rest of the world. Think of it like a nation's international checkbook. It tracks all the money coming into a country and all the money going out. It's a component of a country's balance of payments, which is a much broader record of all economic transactions. Now, what kinds of things are included in this checkbook? There are four main components. First, there's the balance of trade, which is the difference between a country's exports and imports. If a country exports more than it imports, it has a trade surplus. If it imports more than it exports, it has a trade deficit. That's probably the most well-known part of the current account. But it's not just about goods. It also includes the balance of services. This covers things like tourism, transportation, and financial services. So, if Americans travel to Europe, that's money flowing out of the US current account. If Europeans come to visit the US, that's money flowing in. Next, there's net income. This refers to income earned from investments abroad, like dividends and interest. If a US company owns a factory in Germany, the profits from that factory count as income into the US current account. Conversely, profits earned by foreign companies in the US count as income flowing out. Finally, there are net current transfers. This includes things like foreign aid, remittances, money sent home by workers living abroad, and gifts. For example, if the US sends foreign aid to another country, that's a transfer out. So how do we calculate the current account balance? It's pretty straightforward. You add up all the inflows of money, exports, income received from abroad, and net transfers received, and then subtract all the outflows, imports, income paid to foreigners, and net transfers paid out. The result is the current account balance. Now let's look at why this matters, specifically for the US. The US has run a current account deficit for decades. That means we import more goods and services than we export, and the income paid to foreigners exceeds the income we receive from abroad. This isn't necessarily a bad thing in the short term. It often reflects a strong domestic economy where consumers have the purchasing power to buy imported goods. However, a persistent and large current account deficit can create some issues. It means the US is increasingly reliant on foreign financing to cover the difference. In other words, we're borrowing from other countries to fund our consumption. This can lead to a buildup of foreign debt and potentially make the US vulnerable to economic shocks. Think of it like this. Imagine you consistently spend more money than you earn. You might be able to get by for a while by borrowing from friends or using credit cards, but eventually, you'll have to face the consequences of your spending. A current account surplus, on the other hand, means a country is exporting more than it imports. This can boost economic growth and create jobs, but it can also lead to a stronger currency, making exports more expensive and potentially reducing competitiveness. Let's look at a simple example. Let's say the US exports $2.5 trillion worth of goods and services and imports $3 trillion. That's a trade deficit of $500 billion. Now, let's say the US receives $300 billion in income from its foreign investments and pays out $400 billion in income to foreign investors. That's a net income deficit of $100 billion. Finally, let's say the US sends $50 billion in foreign aid and receives $20 billion in remittances. That's a net transfer deficit of $30 billion. Adding those all up, the current account balance would be $500 billion trade, $100 billion income, $30 billion transfers, equals $630 billion. That's a significant deficit. So how does the current account balance affect you, the average American? It can influence exchange rates, which affect the price of imported goods. A weaker dollar makes imports more expensive, while a stronger dollar makes them cheaper. It can also impact interest rates and economic growth. A large current account deficit might put downward pressure on the dollar and require higher interest rates to attract foreign investment. The current account balance is a complex indicator, and it's important to consider it alongside other economic data. However, it provides valuable insights into a country's economic health and its relationship with the rest of the world. It's a key piece of the puzzle when trying to understand the overall economic landscape. To quickly summarize, the current account balance tracks all monetary transactions between a country and the rest of the world. It's calculated by adding up exports, income received and transfers in, then subtracting imports, income paid out and transfers out. A deficit means more money is flowing out than in, and a surplus means more is flowing in. It impacts exchange rates, interest rates, and overall economic growth. Remember, this information is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as financial advice. Always consult with a qualified financial professional before making investment decisions.